surgical, physical when I'm lyrical. So bat it down with medical, something critical. It's gonna take a miracle. Bright lights, looking spiritual, written down like biblical. I finally reached the pinnacle. Yeah. Welcome to the house, the one they talking about. Word of mouth, the boxing playhouse, without a doubt. All the latest and greatest boxing news, that's what it's all about.
Bienvenido a Boxing Playhouse. Dani Santiago aquí con Angel Hidalgo, mi compañero y el maestro Ray Sosa. Angel está en Ocala, Florida y Ray está en Georgia. Y yo estoy en Colombia, como siempre. Esta semana vamos a hablar un poco de boxeo. Vamos a hablar con una entrevista con un muchacho que estaba en el programa con nosotros el domingo, pero tenía unos pocos problemas con las cosas técnicamente de hablar, porque el micrófono no estaba funcionando muy bien. Y bueno, esta es una historia que no llegamos a hablar de esa parte de la entrevista que hicimos el domingo. Lo vamos a tener hoy. Primero que nada, te voy a decir que esta semana otra vez no vamos a hablar en español, vamos a hablar en inglés porque el compañero de nosotros no habla español. So here we go, guys. Boxing Playhouse Latin America. This week we're speaking English yet again. We're going to have a guest today, George Walton, who was on our show on Sunday, but unfortunately, because of some technical difficulties, we weren't able to hear him speak a little bit. I want to invite my friend, one of my best friends, my partner in crime, my co-host on the show, Angel Hidalgo. How you doing, baby? All the way from Ocala, Florida.
Yeah, doing okay. A little under the weather, you know, a little stomach thing going around, I think. But other than that, I'm doing good. Spent the weekend just relaxing, watching football. Got to see my Giants get beat up really embarrassingly bad, and then I got to see the Jets at least make that last minute run back, which was awesome play. Yeah.
What a tragic thing. I mean, it's a boxing player deal, but what a tragic thing. What happened to this guy? He got hurt in his very first game as a Jet.
Yeah.
No.
Aaron Rodgers. It was like the fourth play of the drive, the first drive, and he said he felt something pop, and I guess they think it's an Achilles, so he's done. Yeah, you're not going to come back from an Achilles like, you know, in a year or so, whatever.
Especially at his age. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I don't know how long they had him for. What, 1 or 2 years? I'm not sure what the contract was, but yeah, he's probably done. So,
and Ray, Spanish Ray, Maestro, Spanish Ray Sosa, from Spanish Harlem, but living in Georgia. How you doing?
The weather's beautiful now. It's cooling off.
It's cooling off. It's starting to mellow out.
Yep.
I saw you the other day working out with some weights, doing some power walking. You still doing that?
I'm outside now. I could do it. I could breathe out there. It's too hot. We can't do it. It's too hot.
Wow. So today we have a special guest. Yeah, I mean, he's special to me. I know him from back in the day, when I lived in the Bronx, and I used to train out there, see him at the fights at the Empire States and all those things like that. He's a few years younger than me, but he's well ahead of the game when it comes to boxing. Real good guy. He's a personal friend of yours. I know you have much love for this young man. They used to call him. It was crazy when I was a kid. They used to call me Tyson. They used to call him Tyson as well because we had that similar aggressive type of style. Let's bring him on the show, George Walton, man. All the way from Queens, New York, man. Let's see what's going on. How you doing, Mr. Walton? The Blaze.
Hey, what's happening, fellas? How y'all doing?
The Blaze. What's going on, man? How you been?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing beautiful. Thank you.
I know Sunday was kind of like a little bit, you were hearing us, but we weren't hearing you, so now we can hear you loud and clear. How have you been these last couple of years?
Yeah.
I haven't seen you for maybe somewhat top 10, maybe 15 odd 20 years, so a lot of things have happened. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Just working, I work in the gym called Competitive Edge Athletics, owned by Eddie O'Boyle. It's a well-known gym, out in Long Island, Port Washington, Long Island.
Okay.
So I've been here 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you do there?
Other than that, yeah, that's it.
What do you do there?
Just personal coaching. I coach not actual fighters, but I train like parents, like moms, regular, you know, civilians. I don't have any like pro fighters, anything like that. You know, we do like this type of fitness, kickboxing.
Okay, you're breaking up a little bit there, but you do a lot of fitness training with moms and dads, and you know what we like to call civilian boxing, right? That's cool. That's cool. Let me ask you this. Well, let me just say this: you might be in a better lane because once you start training fighters, your hair start getting a little grayer. You start losing a little bit of hair.
Pretty much.
It should stop. So, you know what I mean? That's what I do for a living, and it's tough. It's tough. Angel, let's talk boxing, man. Have you ever heard of George Walton? He was a banger. You know, he had a record of 20 wins, and I think 4 losses, if I'm not mistaken, George. George, you got to fix your camera.
Turn it sideways. We lose him.
I don't know. Well, it's all right. So anyway, George Walton, guys, he you know, is a predominant, very good amateur boxer in New York City. As a pro, he had an impeccable record of 20 wins and 4 losses. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but he was the New York State champion in the super middleweight division. I mean, he's been there and done that. They used to call him Mini Tyson because he had the little look. He even had the little gold tooth like Mike, you know. So he had that whole little Mike Tyson thing going, and very aggressive, power puncher. Just a great guy. I remember training in the gym and seeing him work out, and always had a great opinion of him. Now he's a coach in Long Island, and they actually did a documentary on him. Wait, do you know about this documentary?
Of course I do.
What was the name of it again? Let's tell the fans.
On the Ropes. On the Ropes on YouTube.
And I think that thing was exclusively about him. Am I correct?
It was about 3 of them. It was about him, Tyrene, and a kid named Gabriel, I believe. It was 3 of them. And then it won the best on the Sundance Film Festival. It won best documentary. And then Mike Tyson saw it and wanted to meet all 3 of them, especially George.
Wow. What a great opportunity for him, you know, that he was able to meet, you know, because I know he idolized Mike like most of us, and I admit to that myself. We used to all idolize Mike when we were growing up, and Mike was one of the reasons I laced up some gloves, right? So that's an amazing. I actually seen the movie or the documentary. I was living in New York when it came out, and I saw it on PBS. I know that won a few awards. I saw it at PBS in New York, and I was like, man, I know that dude. You know, I was real happy, man, that I got to see him. Have you? I know Ray. You probably seen it, but have you ever heard of it or seen it? Seen it, Angel?
I haven't had the pleasure of seeing it yet. No. I just got put onto it, so I'm going to definitely check it out. See what it's about.
I'll send you the link, man. It's an amazing story, and it goes into their homes. They go into their training, their friends, and it's done over a duration of time. Like you almost see them blossom and grow into who they become in fighters. You know what I mean? It's an amazing story in 3 different aspects, and 3 different views, and 3 different walks of life. I mean, that was my opinion of it, Ray. What do you think?
On what? On the documentary?
Yeah.
It was raw. There hasn't been no better documentary than that one. Everybody should see it.
I recommend everyone seeing it. Let everybody know the name of the documentary again.
On the Ropes.
On the Ropes. If you get a chance, go to YouTube. I know it's on YouTube. I personally took a look at it again the other day. It's on YouTube. It's an hour or so minute long. It's worth watching. It gives you a different look. And actually, it gives you a realistic look of what a young fighter or group of young fighters all on trying to be on the same path, but taking different, on the same journey, taking different paths to get there, you know, and the trials and tribulations, the relationship they have with their parents and friends and the gym and the coaches. It's truly an amazing story. It's unfortunately that George is having some major difficulty, but he might be not that good technically. I don't know. But you know, talking about George, man, I remember seeing him spar at the gym. He was just He was like a miniature Mike Tyson. In all honesty, I mean, he was just aggressive. He was a banger. I think, didn't you work with him a little bit, Ray?
He came to stay with me for 2 weeks. He ended up staying 2 years.
No way. What was that like?
Well, he made me come back in the game. I started to train him. He was just going to try to get away from the neighborhood because he was stuck on a contract. That was going to be his story. He was going to talk about what happened to him so fighters don't make that mistake. He signed with some people. Shelly Finkel actually wanted him, but he was coerced by his father to sign with these new guys that were in the business, and that was the biggest mistake he made because they had him locked down in a contract and he wasn't happy.
Well, listen, we're gonna save some of the story for hopefully if he can able to get back on, and we'll get back into that. Let's talk about boxing. Let's talk about some of the things that have been going on. Let's talk about breaking news like Shakur Stevenson and Frank Martin fight cancellation. Do you think? Look, we saw Zab Judah's take on it. You know, if he felt that he needed more time or he wanted more money, he should have done it, right? But what do you think? You think that? I'll start with you, Ray. Do you think that after agreeing to a fight, you know, and saying he's all good with terms, you go home and sleep on it and you change your mind? I mean, he has a right to do that, but I don't know. You know, if I give you my word, I'm gonna do something. I don't need a piece of paper saying that I agree to it when I already gave you my word. I'm kind of like just, you know, man on my word when it comes to those things. My word is my bond. Do you think that it was the right call? I mean, Zab Judah thinks that, hey, listen, if he needs more time and if he feels he needs more money, then he did the right thing. And in many ways, yeah, you know what? You're right. I personally think that you go through all these things, you jump through all these hoops, and then you decide to change your mind. I don't know. I'm not too fond of that decision. What do you think, guys?
Right? Go ahead, Angel. Go ahead, Angel.
Well, yeah, I think the whole thing, he was like arguing because he wanted like I think he deserved like a 50-50 split. I don't know the details to the contract, but I think it was something similar to that. But I don't know. I think Shakur is the bigger name, you know. So I felt that, you know, I don't know if it was they were splitting 60-40 or like, again, I don't know the details to the contract, but he wanted a straight, I believe, 50-50 split. Hard to do with promotions and stuff like that, especially when Shakur Stevens is the one that is mainly drawing the tickets and stuff. So, you know, it's disappointing. I would have loved to see the fight, but yeah, I mean, listen, more power to him. If he could hold out and get that money still, you know, then it works out for him. But now if he loses out on the money he was going to get because of that, then it was a mistake. So,
Right.
Listen, I think he was advised to pull out. I don't think that came from him. I think that had to come from managerial. People gave him advice. I don't think it was him. That's my belief. I think it wasn't him.
But even if they told him to do that, do you think that they were right for holding out for more money or a better opportunity? Because I'm going to tell you my opinion after this. Again, I'm going to say the catch-22 to it. But do you think they were right for doing that, Ray?
Man, nowadays in boxing, you know how I feel about boxing nowadays, bro. I can't even make sense of it no more. You never know. What's the word? How the song go? Money, money, money?
mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
It's all about money now, man. They don't fight like before. They don't. It's all about the money all the time, man. I mean, that's my opinion on this. There's got to be something like that. Why else? They want more money, hold out. What can I say, man?
Looks
there
like
you go.
George back. George, you there?
Back.
Can you say something so we can make sure you're on with us?
Back.
Okay.
I'm back.
We got kind of off track, but we were talking about Shakur Stevenson and Frank Martin. You're aware of those two guys, and you're aware that they agreed to a fight, and like literally within 24 to 48 hours later, the fight was canceled because Frank Martin didn't like the deal. Do you agree with something like that? Have you ever been in a position where you're going to fight somebody and then you agreed to something and later on you say, you know what, I'm not doing it. I want more.
I've never reached that status to where these guys are, you know, with all this big money on the table. You know, like my first loss was against this guy named Derek Whitley. I went in, you know, to fight him out in Maryland. And the thing was, he was heavier than me. He was in a whole nother weight class. But because, you know, I had went out there and I'm a fighter. I'm like, you know, his record was like a 50-50 record. He had like close to, I don't know, like half. He lost more fights than he won. You know what I mean? And but the thing is, I didn't know anything about the guy that much. You know, I just was looking at his record. But the whole thing was that as a fighter, I was like, look, you know what? I'll fight him. You know what? So what? He's heavier. You know what I mean? I came out here. Let's get it on. You know what I'm saying? But that was my first loss too. You know, and it wasn't nowhere near the money these guys are talking about. You know.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from them, but I just know, like, back in the days, you know, fighters, they fought and they wasn't making nearly half as much money as these guys are making. And it didn't matter if they won or lost, you know. You had a lot of great fighters that lost fights and they still, you know, was still considered to be great champions, you know. But all these guys, I don't know, they scared to fight. I don't know why, you know. I mean, you come into the business wanting to fight everybody. You know, you don't care who they are. You want to fight them. If they're in your division, you want to fight them because you want to be the best, right? Yeah. It don't even matter about the money. But what can I say?
Nowadays,
I don't know.
It's more about protecting the zero. They want to keep that zero on their record as much as possible. That's what, you know. That's what it seems like.
Right. It's like you scared that, right. And that's just showing that you don't have confidence in yourself. You know, you don't have confidence in yourself. If you scared to fight somebody, scared you might lose, you know. I know, like most champions, you know, or most contenders, they be like, I don't care who they are, but put me in there with them. You know, if he's in my weight class, let's fight. You know, I'm fighting for I'm looking to become champion of the world. I want to fight everybody. Who's ever in the way, whoever got to fight, let's fight. You know what I mean? The money ain't really that much of an issue. Because you make the money.
Lost you for a second. You guys hear him? I'm not hearing him.
There we go again.
All right. Well, I know what he was saying. From a fighter's point of view, you know, the reality of the situation is when I was coming up, you know, I'm gonna tell you the truth. When I started fighting and started thinking about the numbers about it, I kind of like got distracted from what I really started fighting for. You know what I mean? Look, someone told me this a long time ago. If you don't put your worth, somebody's going to put it for you. There's always going to be less than what you think you're worth. So sometimes you got to respect that because you don't want to go into something, lose the fight, regret it after. It's like, damn, I should have got more money, or I shouldn't have taken the fight. Woulda, shoulda, coulda, but never did, right? You know, look, we have a comment from Taino Sosa, the Prince of Spanish Harlem, says, yo, my dude, put me on. He's ready to get on. He's chomping at the bit to fight. I know this firsthand. I talk to him all the time, and he's like, yo, I'm ready to let it go. This kid is in the gym every day. So anybody watching out there, anybody listening, yo, we got, I think he's 140 pounds, right, Ray?
140, yes, sir. Yeah, 140.
We're not a nice, good-looking 140-pounder, you know, got some nice skills, is dedicated. Hey, call my man Taino Sosa up, man. Show him some love. He's very marketable, speaks English and Spanish, very good kid. Getting back to George, you know, yeah, you know, look, when I started fighting, you dream about the house and the cars and all this other stuff. But I'll be honest with you, man, what I dreamt about was the strap. I mean, nowadays, the money's so lucrative and it's so crazy that the strap means nothing. So when I was fighting, yeah, there was money, there was all that, not the money there is now, but I wanted to be known to be the champ. When me and Angel went to school together, you know, and that's all I breathed. All I ever thought about, all I ever did, all I ever wanted to do was do something that involved boxing. They wanted to go to a club. I wanted to go to a boxing club. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to play football. I wanted to take my boxing gloves and go play football and knock a dude out while I was running. Like, that's all I ever thought about, right, Angel? You remember those days?
Yeah, definitely.
We used to box in the backyard and roll around town with gloves in the trunk of the car.
Ask Danny to go hang out. He'll take you to run the bleachers. That's just hanging out. Like, yo. Run the bleachers in the stadium or something. You want to go hang out? Like, I'm scared to say yes sometimes. Come on.
But you know, I mean, nowadays, what do you think? Do you think it's the social media, the technology, obviously the money? Look, I moved to this country, and I fell in love with the people. I fell in love with the climate. I fell in love with the food and things of that nature. But more importantly, I fell in love with the hunger that I saw in the individuals that loved the sport, was passionate about the sport that I love so much. And over time, they were all really great kids. They were all really very focused and very dedicated. But I see that sometimes the social media, we're more worried about what's going on social media than what's really going on in reality. And as a coach, it kind of frustrates me sometimes because when I see the talent that they have, and they have more talent in one little pinky than I have in my whole body. But sometimes I think that the social media and the way of the world right now is kind of softening them up, you know, and they're like a part of the me movement, you know what I mean? And it's kind of crazy. I just see an update right now that Shakur Stevenson, instead of fighting Frank, is going to fight a guy named De Los Santos on November 19th. I'm not really familiar with De Los Santos, but that may be interesting. I'm going to look him up right now while we're talking about it. What do you think about this? Hey, George, are you back with us yet? George?
No. Ha.
Maybe we have to teach him sign language or something because we're just not getting them. You know what I mean? Any fights out there interest you right now, Angel? Anything you're looking forward to seeing?
Well, like I said, I'm looking forward to that September 30th fight with Canelo and Charlo. That's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun fight. They both come to bang. You know, it's going to be good. That's going to be the next big entertaining fight that I'm looking forward to seeing. You know.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. Hey, Maestro, talk to me. What are you thinking out there? What do you want to talk about? Bring
Listen,
it to the table.
since George can't talk, let me speak for him. Can I do that?
Sure.
All right, George, he can't talk. Look, first of all, when we fought, this is what he liked to listen to right here.
Exciting, new, hey, what's up? Big Travis. You know how this go, you know. All eyes on it.
That's G's song right there. You can hear me, G? Remember G? He needed to hear that. He needed to hear Tupac. Tupac was his go-to every time we warmed up in the locker room. That's number one. Number two, when he stood with me for 2 years, he got out of the contract. We got him a fight. Salute to Dan Goosen and Camacho Jr. They got us on the card. George came out of a 2-year layoff and beat Bruno Reyes straight out of my garage. Went over there and stopped him. Dan Goosen wanted to sign him right after that.
Wow. Dan Goosen was on top of his thing back in the day, man. He was one of the top dogs.
He loved George. He loved him. Yeah. And then George went back to Brooklyn. He went back to Gleason's over there.
Okay.
Got caught up with them. I gotta be honest. He got caught up over there. That was the biggest mistake he did, was go back to New York because we had him and we were about to get him signed with Dan Goosen. Dan Goosen loved him. But see George right there, he's such a good guy, man. He leaves himself last, man. I was trying to hold on to him. Everybody was telling me, yo, you can't control him. I wasn't trying to control him. I was trying to protect him. And that's been my guy ever since, man. I love that dude.
Wow. Yo, I got a couple comments here. First and foremost, Taino Sosa says De Los Santos knocked out El Rayo. And then Ori Avila says the dream used to be recognized as the best fighter. Now it seems like it's all about being the most popular and the most affluent fighter, you know, boxer. Boxers used to strive to be tested by the best. And Taino says that De Los Santos is Dominican. Cool. They bring a lot of tough fighters. Ray knows a few of them, you know, Murky Sosa and a few other guys there, Manuel De Leon and all those guys. Julio Cesar Green, to mention a few. Then we have Ori Avila says, with the advances of social media, fighters are more concerned with having their loss seen on social media over and over, as opposed to fighting a potentially superior man. Ori Avila over there in Santo Domingo, talking about Dominican Republic. He's out there in Santo Domingo, a close friend of ours. You know, the truth of the matter is, he's 100% right. People are afraid now because information is so accessible nowadays that, you know, me and Angel, we grew up in the same town. We did a few things together. I remember, we used to lie like the best of them, you know what I mean? And then, and tell stories and how I did this and how I did that and all that other stuff. Man, there was a guy over there that we all knew. They used to tell people that he won Golden Gloves and he won all this other stuff, and there was no way to prove it. You just had to take their word. Whereas nowadays, I got to make sure I dot my I's and cross my T's because somebody's going to do their homework on me. And I told Angel the other day, I try not to lie because I forget half the stuff I said anyway. So I make sure I tell the truth, but it's so true, man, that nowadays people are so concerned about look, losing, right? You lose at the very moment that you are afraid to take the attempt. You already lost. I'd rather give myself a fighting chance. Are you there with us, George? Can you hear us? Can you talk in return? Can you say something? Not in your head, but you can say something. Go ahead. This is bad. All right, yeah. So anyway, getting back to that, what I was saying to you, I'm sorry about that, everyone. With having technical difficulty, but Ray, you're a coach. Angel, you've been around boxing probably as long as I've been around boxing. Back in the days when we had a little issue, we used to knuckle up and see what happened. You know what I mean? It's like nowadays people getting afraid of getting their ass kicked, especially let people know, like, oh man, you lost to this guy. Like, look, man, I have 34 wins and 7 losses, and I got my butt kicked all 7 losses. Every person I fought, I didn't lose because I slipped on a banana peel or because I had diarrhea or because of whatever. I lost because I lost. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You get respect like that. You get respect stepping in the ring and losing. Even if you lose, if you put on a performance. Now, if you lose like that guy, do you remember that guy? I think it was a heavyweight, light heavyweight or heavyweight. The bell rang. As soon as the bell rang, he went and left the ring. Remember that? You guys
I know who it is. Curtis Harper. That's
an ugly way to lose. Now that you get no respect. The guy he waited because I think he thought he was going to get a paycheck as long as he showed up to the fight. So he said, this is what I'm assuming, because why else do this clown? That was a clown show. He goes, they introduce the fighters. They both stand up. Fighter, you ready? Fighter, you ready? Ding, ding. And he just went and just walked out the ring. I never saw something like that before. There, you don't get no respect from anybody doing that. But if you go in there and you go into and you lace up those gloves and you step in that ring, even if you lose, you get respect. You got to respect the man.
Yeah, yeah. Right?
Can George talk? Can he talk or no?
George cannot really talk, but he's like sideways now.
Georgie.
Go ahead, Ray.
Let me talk about this guy. That's why we got him on. Listen, the guy was incredible. Then what happened when he went to New York? I didn't see him for like a year, 2 years. He ballooned back up. He tells me, yo, I'm gonna fight in Tampa. I'll go to Tampa, see him fight against Jerson Ravello.
Jerson Ravello, Dominican kid from New York.
Yeah, I didn't know who Jerson was, and my son said, Dad, that's the guy that be on the Everlast box. When we go to Walmart, he's on the box. I'm like, what? So when I get over there and we ready to take our seats, George asks for me like, yo, Dad, George wants to see you, man. He wants you to work the corner. I'm like, what? So I go over there. I see Mark Breland over there. Mark Breland is training Ravello.
Yeah, yeah.
So Mark sees me and he goes, what's up? He thought I was there to see him. I said, I'm not here to see you. I'm here to see George. He was like, oh, you know George? I said, I used to train him. So when I got in the locker room, George had all these people around him. I told G, you want me to work your corner? He said, yeah, all these guys got to go. So we got him out the way. I said, give me a chair. Nobody looked at me like I was crazy. Give me a sofa. He was fighting. Jerson was 6'2".
Yeah, I know Jerson.
Huh?
I know the kid.
I got on the sofa and I had him doing mitts hitting to the sky. They were like, "Yo, what you doing?" I go, "He got to shoot upward. We got how he's gonna get." And the point is, I never got to work with him before that fight. Everything was right there. So now he gets in there. I warm him up. We get in there, and Jerson, man, Jerson can fight.
Oh, he can.
See that fight. See Jerson versus Walton. He shouldn't have been 168. I had him at 152.5. That was his weight class. At 168, he was strong, but he was too short. So he couldn't grab him. So you got to see the fight. It was a hell of a fight.
Yeah, and Jerson Ravello, I remember, I know that kid. Great fighter, good guy. He was managed by Gary Gitterson and trained by him. Yeah, Gary Gitterson, the owner. He used to own Spider-Man from Marvel Comics.
Hey, Danny, not for nothing. He was promoting that night.
Yeah.
He promoted that fight. You know who knows about that fight? The referee, Brian Gary.
Brian Gary, yeah.
And he ref that fight and remember that fight. He went, "Oh, what a fight." That was Brian.
Yes, sir. And Gary Gitterson, like, you know, he was with the whole it was with Bill Kane. He was with all those guys. He worked with Lou Duva. He worked with a few guys. I used to see Jerson in New York, and then we went down to Florida and trained in Vero Beach for a while. You know, he was trained there for a little bit. And I know Mark was training for a while. A really good fighter, well-decorated amateur fighter out of New York City, Dominican cat.
Great guy. You're right.
Yeah, good boxing skills, you know, and but you're right. You know, George, you know, he's a short guy. He's, you know, a miniature Mike Tyson. 168 was a little bit too much, and Jensen was a big 168. He was, I mean, he was a big bone, height. You know, he had all the advantages. So you're right.
Well, here's another one with that fight. Gary, being that Gitterson was promoting, as I'm telling George instruction, I'm telling him to remind him about the uppercut jab to get in there. When that punch started landing, Gary Gitterson sent the security to see me and said that I gotta be quiet. You believe that? That I gotta be quiet. I said, what? And the security said, if you don't be quiet, you gotta leave the corner. I never heard of that shit. Be quiet. So now I said, you know what? Danny, I took my gloves off. I said, you know what? I'm not working the corner. I still ringside. I started coaching George from ringside. No. And now they sent for me again. The same security guard goes, and he's laughing. He goes, yo, they scared of you, man. They told me that that's not your seat, and you got to go to the bleachers. They wanted to send me to the bleachers, bro. I said, what? So I said, I had a choice. They said, either you go to the corner, shut up, or go to the bleachers. I had to go to the corner and shut up.
I know that was tough, probably, right?
But I was nuts. I was frustrated. And Jerson, there was a time that you see that fight, boy, God bless him. There's a time that he got hit with so many shots. George, I was telling George, hold, what's wrong with holding? George is so proud that he didn't think about that, or they didn't have him that way, that hit and hold. Sometimes you got to do that. Even Mayweather has done that. The best fighters, when for a while, they got to clinch. Not this guy. Rock chin over here. Well, so when he comes to me, he's coming to me doing the stinky leg, and I got to massage his temples. And once I did that, I said, gee, what round we in? 6? Coast this round. Nah. Once I fixed him, he went right back out to banging out with this guy. That's this dude right here. I was so like, oh, man. I wanted him to rest the 6 rounds, so then 6 and 8, we get him. And guess what? George almost got him with the ankle punch. I said, gee, the ankle punch. Let him. But when Drew threw it, being that I was in work with him for a while, he threw it just to check to see. And when he did it, he tapped him, but Justin felt that and he was gone. After that, we couldn't find him, and he got away. And not only that, when we lost, they won, but they came to our locker room. They came to our locker room to show this man respect, like, yo. And I told Mark, we almost got you. Mark, we almost got you. Then Hulk Hogan came in. Hulk Hogan came in and wanted to meet that guy.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan lived in Tampa.
He came into the locker and said, where's this guy George at? What a fight. I didn't know he was there. My son took a picture. My little son Ty was little. He went crazy and took a picture with Hulk Hogan. That's all he cared about. Oh, shit, Hulk Hogan.
Man, hey, So I mean, I guess George, are you back in with us? Can you talk? Can we hear you talk?
I'm back in, man. I'm dipping.
Oh wow,
guys.
You got me talking too much, man.
So talk to us, man. What's your journey been like?
You guys,
We still lost him.
My journey.
What's your journey been like?
It's been interesting. My journey.
Yes, let's talk about
it.
it.
It's been a wild ride, you know. All right, hold on. Let me get you laid out here. It's been an interesting journey, you know. I've been up and down, you know. I've been in, like, I want to say I don't really suffer, like, but I got it, you know, like a little alcoholism. You know, I was abusing alcohol for a while, you know. I just recently cleaned up a lot, you know, thanks to a couple of people in my corner. Well, Eddie O'Boyle, you know, this young lady named Lisette.
Connection
You
bad.
know, because I was from type 2 diabetes, you know, so she kind of.
Man, this is bad. I feel so bad. We want to hear his story.
Yeah, it's like his career, man. Is they jammed his career up. Now they jamming him over here.
It's so bad because his story is so interesting, man. You know, hey Angel, you want to chime in on anything? What you want to get in on some of this?
Yeah. No, I was saying I saw that fight that you guys were just recently talking about. I seen it on YouTube. You know, I looked it up and stuff, and I thought that was a very interesting fight. By the way, they just banged out. I thought he dropped. What was the guy's name? The Ravello. I think didn't he drop him, or I don't know if they called it a knockdown. But I know at one time he caught him. And he went
yeah. You right. He tripped.
It wasn't a trip, man. He caught him with a check right, and he went back. I didn't see no feet get tangled or nothing. And he went down. He went all the way down to the ropes, and I think they called it a trip or something.
Right. That's why. Yeah, I said it sarcastically because that's what they said.
Oh, he tripped. Yeah, he tripped on his right hand. Yeah. And then Ravello ended up dropping him later. You know, like high guard, and caught him on a temple shot, but he got back up. The fight went the distance, and they gave it to Ravello, I believe. But that was a good fight.
Hey, listen, man. I just want, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just want to say, man, you know, that coulda, woulda, shoulda, man. This is what these fighters gotta know. You can't be a whore. These trainers, and I'm not putting myself in that. They be trying to pimp these fighters and steer them in the wrong direction. Fighters should know more or less their destiny. All the champions, Roy Jones, Camacho, all the top fighters, they rode their own horse. You know, there's just a term saying, "Oh, that he's a horse without a saddle." Well, guess what? They're not to be ridden like that. They're supposed to ride themselves, because a lot of these trainers, they want to steer them this way, that way. Man, if you're a good fighter, you know who you should fight when you want to fight him. That's it. And it's up to the trainer to listen to the fighter. Like, when I was with G, we did this together. It wasn't my way or his way. We put our heads together. We came straight out of the garage, like Batman and Robin, beat Bruno Reyes 6-0. He was active 6-0. We were laid off for 2 years. Bruno thought he was fighting a stepping stone. Guess what? He got stepped on. And that's because we put our heads together like, listen, man, how you want to do this? And then to see him go to New York and go get caught up in that web again, and Dan Goosen wanted him bad. Ray, one more fighter, we'll sign him. I had to say, listen, he got family issues and all that, and that ship sailed for him. You know what I mean? But he's one of the.
You're 100% right. Like, you look at his resume. Like, he didn't really fight tomato cans. Like he fought, he fought top guys. I mean, down the line, you look at these things. I mean, he fought Daniel Jacobs. He fought Genesio Zuniga, which I know this kid. He's out of South Florida. He's fought a lot of good fighters here, man. Jose Rodriguez. I mean, he didn't have a soft way. He didn't have a soft trip getting there. You know what I mean? I mean, he fought the who's who in boxing. I mean, Daniel Jacobs. Everybody knows who Daniel Jacobs is. I mean, that guy's a beast. For him to take the path that he's taken, it speaks volumes. Here I'm looking at Sakura Armstrong says, I wish I could get him back on. Maybe you can answer this if you know the answer, Ray. It says they want to ask, or she wants to ask, how does he feel about finding love with his co-feature in the documentary?
Good question.
I want to make a quick little comment before you.
Oh man, Shakira, thank you for reminding us about that one.
Well, let's go into that. Let's go into that real quick, and then I'll get to the next comment about our guy in Dominican Republic, my boy Ori Avila. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's talk about that question about finding love on the co-feature documentary.
All right. Well, let me tell you. I got the pleasure of meeting Tyreen through the phone. Because remember, he's still with me, so they were on the phone a lot. And they were together. And she went through it. When y'all see the documentary, that girl went through the road. Back then, boxing wasn't like now. We got to salute that girl, Tyreen, for just being a girl trying to make it out the hood, man. She caught a bad deal. The point I'm making that I remember at the Jerson fight, when I was there, she goes, Ray, good job with working on his temples. And remember when Zab told me, hey, Ray, how am I supposed to get up? How am I supposed? Remember when Zab said, Ray, how am I supposed to get up? When I said he got up too soon? Tyreen tells George, why you fell that way? Why did you fall that way? And George told Tyreen, how am I supposed to fall? I don't know how to fall. If I fall out, that was the funniest husband and wife thing that I seen, because they had got married. I never got to ask them how that happened, but those two fell in love. After the guys got to see that documentary. After all that, they fell in love. That shows you the kind of guy George was. They fell in love and they became husband and wife. What happened now, I don't know. You have to speak to him about that.
It's funny because our guy Ori Avila, who's made a comment, I was just going to chime in on this, that being a former fighter myself, it's something that I work on with my guys, but it was never really taught to me. And it's not a knock against anybody I worked with. They were all incredible trainers, and I'm a product of what they taught me. But I used to always think to myself, and Zab pointed this out, no one in the gym ever talks to you about what it's going to feel like, how to recover from certain things. If you get knocked down, do this and do that. I mean, not anyone. Some of them do, but it's something that's just not really spoken. It's like almost taboo to speak about these things. Like, oh, if you get knocked down, go do this and try to do that. I do this little spinning thing and I do this little thing to work out. But it's something that I did with Taino when he came to Colombia. I put him in there and we did this thing called the Four Corners. And I have a whole bunch of people on the outside screaming at him because he was going to make his pro debut. And I had like at least 20 or 30 people in my gym. I just got people from the streets like, yo, come in. I want you to help me with this kid, simulate a boxing match and just have him bum rushed with all this noise and stuff. And then he freaked out. And after the sparring, he's like, yo, why'd you do that? And I explained it to him. So then when he turned pro and it was something similar to this, like, yo, D, that's exactly what we did in training. You know what I mean? But in reality, like what Zab says, nobody even told them, yo, when you get knocked down, do this. Sometimes your legs want to go this way, but your mind is going that way, right? And nobody tells you to focus on one thing or something like that. Ori Avila says here, he's saying, he still makes a statement, he says, it's the stories and advice like these that make this show so valuable, Ray. And he wants to thank you, Ray, for bringing up some of the stories that you bring up or that we bring up on the show. Even like Angel, when we went to school, like we would go to train and we would do this. We like start training and stuff. We never talk about, yo, if you get knocked down, go do this. Like we never spoke about that stuff. This is something you don't talk about because we're never getting knocked down. You know what I mean? Right or wrong?
Word.
Yeah. That's we figured is an instinct thing. You know, you're on the floor, you got to get back up. So they don't tell you, all right, take the 8, you know, gather yourself. A lot of guys get knocked down. They want to pop right back up to make it look like they weren't hurt. Meanwhile, they were buzzed and stuff, and they think maybe they're thinking it looks bad if they take the whole 8, that it looks like they're hurt more than they are. That's not going to change the score, whether it's a 10-8, regardless whether you take your time or not. Might as well take your time, gather those 8 seconds to clear. I mean, this is now, you know, hindsight is 2020, but you know, back then you just think, I gotta get up, I gotta get off the floor. This guy knocked me down. I gotta do something about that.
No
you know,
doubt.
but yeah, but that is true. And I don't know, how do you teach your fighter that? I guess it's sparring. If he gets dropped, then you tell him, yo, take your time getting up, boom, boom. But if a guy never gets dropped in sparring, you're not gonna have a chance. He's not getting hurt or nothing, and be like, oh, by the way, if you get dropped, take the whole 8 count, gather yourself, make sure your legs are underneath you, get up this way, like lift yourself with your arms first, and then squat up, whatever it is. But yeah, that'll be an awkward teaching session right there. You know.
I'm gonna ask Ray something in a quick second, but I'm gonna divulge something that I do in my training with my kids. And we're going to end it off with the last little question, the last little thing that Ray is going to talk about. I want to try to keep in the realm of what we're talking about here. But something I do with my kids, I put a guy in the ring sparring, you know, working like, not sparring hard, but sparring. And we do like a 15-second drill sparring. And then we do a 15-second drill of mitts, right? And then I have him put his arms up like this and turn around as fast as he can in a circle. And then I tell him to stop. And when he stops, he's dizzy. And then I make him, you know, get his bearing, like kind of thing, and I make him throw punches. And that's the thing that I've found that helps guys gain their bearings. It's really getting your bearings. When you get knocked off your block a little bit and you get down, you know, you lose your bearings, you lose things, and you're listening to sounds, and you're looking to the guy moving his arms and stuff like that. And the best thing you could do is look at the corner, like look at something that doesn't move. Right. So once you get the thing focused again, real quick, if you can do that, then you can start. There's no really full recovery until you get a few seconds, but you can gain your bearings a little bit and get back to the motions. We're gonna end this off real quick. Ray, get your last little chime in real quick. I know you're chomping at the bit to say something. Go for it.
No, man, I'm just here hoping that George was on, but being that he's not, I guess I gotta speak. Another thing before Bruno Reyes fight, he was tense, man. Remember, being laid off for that long, he was nervous. So I had to relax him. So you know what I did? Before anything, I snuck him in the ring earlier that day. He's like, what are we doing? I said, let's get in that ring. What do you mean? What do you mean? We're going to get in trouble. I said, what are we going to do? Get thrown out? So we got in the ring. And now I got to push him to get in there because he's looking around. I said, gee, get in that ring. I pushed him. Could you believe once I got him on there, he didn't want to get out. He starts shadow boxing and he's like, yo, man, I'm like, come on now, we got to go. That helped that day to fight because I said, we might be the first fight up. So I started warming up with him in the room, not even in the locker room. The minute we went down, he was the first guy up. He got on Bruno's ass from round 1, and he took his ass all the way 6 rounds. We got him. We took it out of his pocket, and we robbed him.
Wow.
Not literally, but we took him. We got there, we took over, and that was the best accomplishment for him. After being laid off for 2 years, and like he said, he was drinking. He came to see me to recoup and not drink no more. You know what I told him what made him stop drinking? I said, and I'm not going to say everything. When I saw him with a bottle in his hand, he had the spout. I said, you know what you're drinking there, right? I said, what? A glass? Can I say the word? Is it all right? A glass dick. And he said, what? I said, yeah, you're drinking the urine out of it right now. You know, he looked at it. He looked at me. He looked at it again. He broke it on the floor, cracked it. He never drank again when he was with me.
Wow. That's an awesome story. Hey, listen, guys, unfortunately, this week has been kind of weird. We had some technical difficulties yet again with Mr. Walton. I wish him all the best. I encourage everyone to watch his watch his documentary on YouTube. It is called Off the Ropes. Right, Ray?
I got his on too. This is our corner jacket. When we beat Bruno Reyes is right here. Salute to Gigo.
Cool. The name of the documentary is Off the Ropes.
Yes, it is. Off the ropes.
Check it
No,
out.
on the ropes. On the ropes.
On the ropes. Excuse me. On the ropes.
On the ropes.
Check it out on YouTube. It's a great program. You know, next week we're gonna hopefully have a special guest. We won't announce it. We're gonna start advertising it maybe on Friday or Saturday, so people can chime in and take a look at it. We want to surprise individuals. Please write in, hit the like button, maybe subscribe. Me, Angel Hidalgo, my co-host, and Maestro Ray. Every week we gear up. We look forward to this. Angel rushes home about 1,000 miles a minute to get here for the show. You know. And Ray sits all day writing me things on topics, and he does his due diligence to find great guests and things like that. And Sakura does a lot of work in the background. So please subscribe to Boxing Entertainment, Boxing Playhouse Entertainment, Boxing Playhouse on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, and all those things. We'll see you guys next week. Ray, hey, you know what? Today, Angel, I'm gonna let you close us out, baby. Close us out.
Close this out. Yeah, it was a shame we didn't get the full interview with him. He sounds like he has an interesting story. And you know what? I should be going to NY probably next month. So maybe I'll be in Long Island. I could stop by the gym or something. Maybe do an interview with him at the gym. That'd be cool. He'll be in his element. I'll probably be able to figure out more of the technical difficulties myself with him there. Because since I have experience doing it with you guys. I'll be more familiar with it. As long as we have a good link, we'll make it happen. So tune in for the third attempt to get him interviewed. But other than that, Boxing House, Playhouse, peace.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Sakura, we out, baby. Boxing Playhouse, Latin America. Let's close it out.
Welcome to the house, the one they talking about. Word of mouth. The Boxing Playhouse, without a doubt. All the latest and greatest boxing news. That's